Welcome to the RedRaiders.com post-game report brought to you by UMC Health Systems. I'm Don Williams alongside our sports editor Nicholas Talbot, coming to you after Texas Tech's 70-53 loss Saturday to Oklahoma State at Jones Stadium. Next to last home game of the season for the Red Raiders, and Nick, they blew a big opportunity to get bowl eligible today.
They sure did, Don. It was the second half. There's words that really can't describe that well. They were up 31-14 at one point, or 24-7, or 17-0, however you want to look at it. They had a 17-foot cushion for almost the entire first half. And then the second half, they just kind of employed big play after big play for Oklahoma State. 64-yard run by Walsh, 75-yard reverse pass, I guess as they're calling it a pass now, by Washington. And
73-yard post pattern to Washington.
And the punt return, of course.
67-yard punt return, 59-yard interception return.
It just kept coming and coming and coming. And, of course, the scoreboard eventually reached 70, Don, which is a record.
Yeah, most points that Texas Tech has ever allowed at Jones Stadium all time. Second most was 66 points that Tech gave up to Oklahoma State 4 years ago here. And I talked about this last year. A disturbing trend in this series is 2008 on this very field. Texas Tech defeated Oklahoma State 56-20. It was a matchup of two top 10 teams. That's the last time that Texas Tech has beaten Oklahoma State. Saturday was the 7th year in a row that the Cowboys have defeated the Red Raiders. And I wrote about this last week. Tech likes to think that it is closer to the top of the Big 12 than the bottom, but the results don't say that.
No, they don't at all. Really, what's going to determine that is the next three games. They got Kansas State, Texas, West Virginia on the road next week. They really have to, if they're going to get close to the top of the Big 12, they have to win them all. And if they're, of course, they only need one to get bowl eligible. But I mean, if you want to consider yourself at the top of the Big 12 or even in the upper half, they got to win all three.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. I think realistically, you're going to be doing well to get bowl eligible to win one of those three. Trip to Morgantown next week is going to be it's going to be a chore, I think, for the Red Raiders, just because it's a road game. You got Kansas State here in your final home game. I believe that's going to be the best opportunity, and then you have Texas on Thanksgiving night in Austin. Obviously, this is not a good Texas Longhorns team, but you haven't won in Austin in forever either.
It's not a good Kansas State team either, but
it's not a good Texas Tech team.
Anytime you have Bill Snyder standing on the opposite sideline, you can't count that as a win. I mean, you just can't. He's one of the best coaches in college football. But there were positives coming out of this game, Don. Obviously, they started fast, just like Kingsbury wanted. And that was mainly on the back of Jakeem Grant. He had a 101-yard kickoff return, but that wasn't even his best player of the game. 90-yard. It was just a little dump off, and he cut right, cut left, cut. Watch on SportsCenter tonight.
He was here.
On the top 10
he was
plays.
there.
If it's not on the top 10 list today, I don't know what SportsCenter is doing, because it should be there. It was one of the best runs I've ever seen. He was everywhere. But
he finishes with 13 catches, 178 yards. That was
a career high for him as well.
Career high, and is also the second year in a row that he's had a huge game against Oklahoma State. Last year he had 12 and 100, which was a career high for catches. So we asked Jakeem Grant after the game if there's anything in particular about Oklahoma State, and he said no, it's just Cliff Kingsbury getting him the ball.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to make me look smart first. I actually picked the Red Raiders to win this game 38-35. When it was 31-14, I was kind of gloating a little bit, but obviously the Red Raiders defense kind of put me back in my place and my expectations on that one.
You said it was defense, but it was everything today.
It was.
I mean,
Mahomes had a really costly interception where he just misread the defense or got crossed up with Grant. I mean, that really was a game-changing play right there, because they could have taken the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And they were down to the 22-yard line, 1st and 10. The pass was supposed to go to Jakeem Grant, but
nowhere near him.
Nowhere near him. And then, of course, they let a big play up, and it's a 10-point swing.
You also
14-point swing.
Yeah, and then you had the all the trouble that they had on the punt team today with Michael Barton feeling pressure, tries to run for a first down, doesn't get it. You give up the punt return touchdown, and the defense, of course, just gives up. Just got big played to death in the fourth quarter of this game. I mean, gave up 28 points just in the last 11 or 12 minutes of this football game.
Yeah, of course, it wasn't just on the defense to pick for a touchdown. You said, of course, the offense also stalled in the third quarter. They looked good all game except for one quarter. You can't rag on an offense that scores 53 points, but when you lose by 17, you kind of have to.
Well,
they had opportunities, and you got to make those opportunities.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. The way college football is played in this era, Texas Tech came out, was very emotional, very high, played lights-out football for the most part for 2 hours. For 2 hours. But this game lasted 3 hours and 53 minutes. And, I think at some point You know, it's 38-28 at halftime, and Oklahoma State probably goes into that locker room thinking, hey, we took their best shot. It's still a 10-point game. We have the entire second half.
Yeah, the best shot turned out to be Jakeem Grant today, but it just wasn't enough, Don.
Yeah. So that's going to put a wrap on it here at Jones Stadium. Again, your final score, Oklahoma State 70, Texas Tech 53. OSU goes to 8-0 and 5-0 in the Big 12. Will those guys ever lose? Texas Tech, meanwhile, 5-4, 2-4 in the conference. The Red Raiders are going to have to win out to avoid a losing season in the Big 12. We'll have full coverage of this game for you on RedRaiders.com and LubbockOnline.com. Nick and I both with columns. The game story from Carlos Silva, notebook, opposing locker room side from Krista Pirtle, and more coverage throughout the week to get you ready for Texas Tech against West Virginia next Saturday in Morgantown. For our producer, engineer, and our photo editor, Mark Rogers, and for Nicholas Talbot, our sports editor, I'm Don Williams. This has been the RedRaiders.com postgame show brought to you by UMC Health Systems.
Have a happy Halloween, everyone.